students, welcome to Life Processes Part 5. In our last video, we have discussed the transportation in animals. Now we will discuss the transportation in plants and also we will focus on the excretion in different organisms in this session. Now we know that in case of plants, they take up the carbon dioxide from the surrounding environment and they utilize it in the process of photosynthesis and they generate the energy. But this energy is not sufficient for the development of body parts or developing the body of the plants. Now along with this energy, the plants also require the raw material and the most important thing, that is the water. Now the richest and the nearest source for these two things is the soil. Now obviously the plant part which is in closest contact with this soil will absorb these raw materials and water from the soil. So this plant part is the roots. So on one side the carbon dioxide is taken up and energy is generated in the photosynthetic organs, that is the leaf. Now in the transportation in the plants, there are main two things that are to be transported. That is, the energy generated in the leaf is to be transported in the other parts of body, and the roots that taken up the minerals or the raw material like nitrogen, phosphorus and other minerals that are to be transported to the leaf. Now both of these things are transported independently. So in case of transportation in plants, one system or one pathway transports the energy generated and other soluble products of photosynthesis from leaf to the remaining parts of the plant, and the water and minerals taken up from the soil are to be transported to leaf and other body parts of the plant. Now if the distance between these photosynthesis organs and the soil contacting organs, that is, if the distance between the leaves and the roots is a smaller one, so if the length of the plant is small, then this transportation is possible by the simple process of diffusion. But in the taller plants or the trees, the distance between these two organs, that is the leaves and the roots, is much more larger. So the simple process of diffusion is insufficient for the transportation of both of these products throughout the plant body. So for that purpose, a special transportation system is required that will carry out this two-way transportation. We know that different organisms, they differ in their body design. Now as the body design is different, obviously the energy needs of the different organism are also different. Now considering the plants. Now we know that plants, they do not move. Like the animals, they do not move from one place to another. Another thing is that the number of dead cells or the dead tissues are stored. Now these two factors make the plants having low energy needs. So in case of plants, energy transportation is not a great deal. Why? The transportation of the minerals, water and other food products throughout the plant body are the major task. So there are two different pathways which consist of conducting tubes or which are operated by conducting tubes. Now for these two different purposes, these two pathways operate. Now one pathway that operates the transport of the raw material that is absorbed in the water. Raw material that is dissolved or absorbed in the water from roots to the other body parts, and another pathway that involves the movement of food and other substances, that is the product of photosynthesis from leaf to the other. Now the first pathway, it consists of a tissue system known as xylem. So xylem is a system, or it is a part of transport system which transports or which moves the water and other minerals absorbed by the roots. Water and other minerals absorbed by the roots to the other body parts or other parts of plant. And another system, or the second pathway, is conducted by another system, that is phloem. So there are two major tissue systems. Now this phloem carry out the transport of the photosynthetic products that are produced in the plant and other substances or other dissolved substances such as amino acids and other products. So overall, this transportation is having a major task of covering the distance, that is starting from the roots to the tip of the plant and from the leaf at the different site of part body or body parts to the roots. So overall, the distance covered is a major problem regarding the transportation in plants. Thus, in case of plants, the transportation is carried out or accomplished by two independent pathways. So, we will study the transportation in plants in two parts. First one is the transport of water. Now, the transport of water is carried out by the special tissue system, that is xylem. So, the vessels and tracheids of roots, leaves and stem, all these are interconnected in the xylem. So overall, the xylem consists of vessels and tracheids from the roots, leaves and stem, and it forms a continuous transportation channel which transports water and the minerals. So overall, in the transport of water, the major role is of the tissue system, that is xylem. Now this overall transportation throughout the plant is possible because the vessels and tracheids are interconnected. So whatever the root absorb from the soil, that are transported to each and every part of the plant, that is up to the tip of the plant. Now what happens at the roots? Now these roots are in the close contact with the soil. So these roots take up the minerals or ions from the soil. Now because of uptake of ions from the soil, there is the difference between the ionic concentration in the soil and root. Now to recover this difference in the ionic soil concentration, water molecule, they also move from the soil. So initially what happens? There is the uptake of ions from the soil. So the ionic concentration in the roots is higher than the soil. So to recover this ionic difference, the water molecule moves. Now this process, as you know, it is a diffusion process because the movement of water molecules from the higher concentration region to the lower concentration region. So in this way, the water column is pushed up from the roots and it is continuous to the other parts of plant. So in the initial stage, because of this ionic concentration, by the simple diffusion process, water molecules are also absorbed and the water column is pushed up. So water column is pushed upwards. Again, coming to the height of the plant. Now this water column is pushed up, but whatever the pressure that is exerted, it is not sufficient to reach this water column to the tip of the plant. So again, an additional strategy is required along with this diffusion, and this strategy is the transpiration. Now what is transpiration? So it is the evaporation of water vapors from the aerial parts of the plant. Now how it happens? The water molecules are released from the stomata. Now what happens? Because of this transpiration, the water column, it moves. So whatever the water is given up from the leaves, that is recovered or it is replaced by the water through the xylems or through the xylem in the leaves. So the additional strategy in the transport of water is the transpiration. Now how you can define the process of transpiration? That is, in the very simple words, it is the evaporation or loss of water in the form of vapor. Evaporation of water in the form of vapor from the leaves. So, during this process of transpiration, the water is lost from stomata. Now this water lost from stomata is replaced by the xylem vessels in the leaves. Now as you know that the different vessels and the tracheids are interconnected. So obviously whatever the water that is absorbed along with the minerals from the root, that will be transported. So the water column will be pushed up with the help of process of transpiration. So as the water is lost from the stomata, that water is replaced by the water from the xylem in the leaves. So the transpiration process, it helps in the absorption of the water from the roots or from the soil and upward pushing or upward movement of the water column. So the transpiration helps in absorption of water and the minerals that are dissolved in it from the soil via roots, and it also helps in the pushing of the water column upward so that the water entering from the root will reach to the each and every part of the plant, including the leaf at the top. Now the second part of transportation in plants, it includes transport of food and other parts, food and other components or other substances. Now this transportation of the food or the products that are synthesized in the process of photosynthesis is carried out by the process of translocation. So by the process of translocation, the food that is synthesized in the leaves. Now how this food is synthesized? By the process of photosynthesis. So this food and along with this other substances. Now these other substances, it include amino acids also. So all these components are transported throughout the other body parts. Now what happens? The carbon dioxide is taken up, it is utilized by the plant leaves, and the process here is photosynthesis. So here the leaves, they form the food. Then along with this food is transported to the other parts. Now this transportation is carried out via the system of tissue, that is phloem. Now this transportation is carried out by the sieve tubes of the phloem and the adjacent companion cells. These cells also help in the transportation. So together with the cooperation of sieve tubes of the phloem and the adjacent companion cells, whatever the food that is formed or it is present in the soluble form in the leaves, that will be transported to all parts, that is the stem as well as roots. Now the transportation of this food is different than that of the transportation of water, because the transportation of water, it occurs only in upward direction, while this transport of food and other substances, it occurs in both the direction, that is downwards or the upward. So if the leaf at the top of the plant is synthesizing the food, that is transported in the downward direction, as well as the food from the leaf at the lower area is transported in the upward direction. Now again, the differentiating point is that for this transportation, energy is required, and this energy is required in the form of ATP. So during this photosynthesis, the sucrose-like molecule are transported or translocated utilizing the energy in the form of ATP. Now because of this translocation, there is increase in the osmotic pressure in the phloem or in the tissue. So because of this increase in the osmotic pressure, the water moves upwards. So as a result of the increase in the osmotic pressure, there will be further movement of the substances in all the directions. Up till now, we have discussed the different life processes. Now all these life processes are important for all different organisms. Now the last important life process that is essential is the excretion. Now there are different excretory products in case of different organisms such as plants as well as animals. Now the major gaseous waste products in case of plants, that is the oxygen. So by the process of photosynthesis, the organism, that is the plants, they release the oxygen by simple diffusion process. Now in case of animals, by the process of respiration, the gaseous waste, that is carbon dioxide, is released. But apart from this gaseous exchange or apart from the gaseous waste material, other waste material is there, that is metabolic waste. Now this other metabolic waste material is the nitrogenous waste material. Now this nitrogenous waste material is harmful to the organisms. So this is to be removed. Now the biological process of removal of nitrogenous waste material, that is harmful nitrogenous waste material from the body, is known as excretion. So the process of excretion can be defined as the biological process of removal of harmful nitrogenous waste material from the body. Now the different organisms, they differ, or they are having the different strategies for the removal of the waste product. Different organisms, depending on their complexity, either they may carry out by the simple diffusion process, or they may have well developed excretory system. Now in case of unicellular organisms, the waste material is released from the cell surface area by simple diffusion process. But in case of complex multicellular organisms like human beings, a well organized excretory system is there. The different components of these excretory system are helpful for the excretion of the nitrogenous waste material from the body, that include majorly the urine.
This is the diagram of excretory system in human beings. The excretory organs in this system are a pair of kidney, a pair of ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. The urine formed in kidney is finally excreted through urethra.
In the process of excretion in human beings, actually the main waste product is urine. Now this urine is produced in the kidneys. Then from the kidneys, the urine passes through ureters into the urinary bladder. In the urinary bladder, the urine is stored until it is released through urethra. So overall the pathway of
This is the
excreting the
diagram
urine
of
is from
excretory
kidneys
system
through
of
ureters,
human beings.
urinary bladder,
Now this
and
include
finally through
a pair of kidney,
urethra.
a pair
Now,
of
why this
ureters,
urine is formed?
urinary
As
bladder
we say
and
that the
urethra.
urine is
So
the
initially
nitrogenous waste
the urine
material.
formed
So
in
how or
kidneys
why
is
this urine
released
formed?
from
Now,
urethra.
this urine is formed to filter out the nitrogenous waste material from the blood. So while circulating, the different food products or the energy is circulated through the circulatory system via blood. So obviously the blood is also consisting of the nitrogenous waste products that are the result of metabolic activity and that are to be removed. Now this consists of urea or uric acid. So these are removed from the blood in the kidneys. Now how it is possible? Because the kidneys are having a cluster of thin walled blood capillaries that are called as nephron. Now all these or each of these cluster of capillaries is in association with the cup-shaped end of coiled tube called as Bowman's capsule. So the kidneys consist of cluster of blood capillaries. These capillaries are having thin walls so that the filtration of the blood is carried out through these walls. So these clusters are called as nephron. Now these nephrons are associated with the Bowman's capsule. What are Bowman's capsule? It is the cup-shaped end of the coiled tube. Now this Bowman's capsule, it collects the filtrate. So whatever the filtrate that is released from the blood capillary, that is collected by the Bowman's capsule. During the process of excretion, the initial filtrate that is collected or released through the capillaries. So this initial filtrate, it consists of nitrogenous waste material and along with it the other important products are also present, that is glucose, amino acids, salts and major amount of water. Now these different constituents of this filtrate are not to be released from the body or not to be excreted. So these different components are selectively reabsorbed. So while passing the urine from the kidneys through the ureters in the urinary bladder, stored until the pressure is there and then it is excreted out through the urethra. Now this major component that is to be reabsorbed is the water. Now the amount of water it is reabsorbed depends on two major criteria. First one is that how much water content is there in the body. So the amount of water reabsorbed will be higher if that is present in lower quantity. And another factor, that is how much the dissolved waste products that are to be excreted. So these two factors, they decide the amount of this water that is to be reabsorbed. Now one more thing is that the urinary bladder, as we know, it is a muscular organ and it is under control of nervous system, and that is the reason why the release of urine from the urethra is properly controlled in the normal human beings. So by this way, the excretion of nitrogenous waste product formed during the different metabolic product activities is released in the process of excretion in the human beings, and the different components of the excretory system are having the key role in overall excretion process. Now coming to the last point from your chapter, that is excretion in plants. Now if we compare the process of excretion in plants with that of the animal, it is completely different than that. Now in case of plants, now first waste product is the gases. Now as we have seen that the waste product or gaseous waste product, oxygen during photosynthesis is released outside, and how the plants they deal with the gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. So there is no any problem regarding the excretion of gaseous waste product. Now apart from this, there are other waste materials. or the other waste products. Now the plants deal with the different waste products with the different approaches. Now plants are having most of the cases dead tissues. So some of these waste products are stored in these dead tissues. Another important waste product, that is excess of water. It is released or excreted by the process of transpiration. So the excess of water is released or excreted outside the plant leaves by the process of transpiration through the stomata. Now certain waste products that are also stored in the leaves, but the leaves they fall off. So with the falling off of these leaves, the waste products are also released. Some waste products are released in the soil that surrounds the roots. Some waste products are stored in the cellular vacuoles, and in some cases the cellular waste products or the plant waste products that are also stored in the form of resins or gums. So whenever these are in the dead tissues, stored in the dead tissues, these are mostly stored in the old xylem. So in these different strategies or by using these different approaches, plants they get rid of a variety of waste products during their excretion process. Concluding today's session, we will finish up with your chapter Life Processes. Through this chapter discussion, I have gone through the small bits and I have tried to explain it well. Hope you have better understood, so that it will be helpful for your board exams. Now if you are having any kind of suggestion or any comment, please give it in the comment box. We will meet with the new video that will cover your new chapter from biology syllabus. Till then, stay tuned.